Airbus cuts its targets and takes a €900 million charge for its troubled space activities. Welcome to Market Insight, I'm Ramzan Karamali. Europe's largest aerospace group also lowered its widely watched forecast for deliveries this year to around 770 jets, from around 800. Airbus's CEO laid some of the blame at the door of Boeing. He says its American rival's attempt to reacquire Airbus supplier Spirit Aerosystems has cast doubt on Spirit's industrial commitments. So can Airbus overcome all these issues and maintain its status as the world's #1 plane producer? Well, to help answer that and more, I'm joined by Fiona Cincotta, Senior Market Analyst at Citi Index. Fiona, thanks so much for joining us. Well, let's start with those Airbus shares today. They're down heavily. Investors clearly didn't like what they heard, but it seems the plane maker is trying to achieve a clean slate. So should investors perhaps be a little bit more patient?
The share price is really reflective of a large disappointment as far as investors are concerned, and I think the fact that they've lowered their delivery outlook and their delivery plans because of a supply issue, that is disappointing. We're not talking about a demand problem here. This is very much a supply issue, and one that Airbus had warned about previously, when the when the pandemic really upended the aviation industry, and there were concerns about when things started to ramp up again, how would supply chains cope, and it does seem that they're not. I think expectations are for supply chain issues which are affecting engine deliveries, they're affecting the cabin interiors. So this is really quite a broad-based problem that the planes are facing. And it does mean that deliveries are expected to be lower and could continue for the next 2 to 3 years. So, it wasn't too much for investors to be overly excited about. And I think the other thing that's a bit disappointing with all this is the fact, if we think about where Boeing is right now and how it's sort of, under a lot of regulatory scrutiny and paring back production, it would have been a good opportunity really for Airbus to potentially pick up some new business. And, given the supply chain issues, that's looking rather unlikely.
Now, another big European manufacturer in the news today is Stellantis. It said it could halt its UK production unless the government does more to boost demand for EVs. This is all to do with fines car makers face for not selling enough pure EVs in the UK. Could that actually mean less choice for British consumers in the long run?
This isn't ideal at all. I think there is obviously a lot of pressure that's being put on by the Conservatives, and Labour have also said that they would stick to these new EV targets if and when they come into power. And these targets, basically what they mean is there's a lot of pressure on the manufacturers to lift EV production. Problem being is that demand isn't necessarily that strong right now, given the high prices, cost of living crisis, and also, concerns over patchy availability of charging stations. So there is a lot of work that needs to be done before these targets, which are really quite high, especially when we look at the year of sort of 2030. The government's hoping for 80% sales by manufacturers by 2030. So, that's really quite a high target to be reached. And obviously the manufacturers are concerned that they might have to really lower prices in order to reach that demand. And so with that reasons, they're considering that could be a hostile environment, potentially withdrawing from such a situation, and that would be bad news for the consumer, because obviously when there's less choice, that obviously puts pressures on prices as well.
Now, Merck in Germany, it saw its shares slump today after a trial of a cancer drug failed. Does that mean it's less likely now to focus on its pharma unit going forward?
Yeah, I think this is really like a confidence issue. It's not the first time that they've had a late stage trial miss targets and be withdrawn. So, I think there is a little bit of concern now about the R&D side. And confidence does really need to be boosted in that area, I think. So I think, unless they can do that move quite quickly and reinvigorate the R&D business unit, then I think it would perhaps be more beneficial to focus on other areas for now.
Now, French markets seem to be nervous again today. The head of the Paris Stock Exchange has spoken out as well. What have you made of the market reaction since President Macron called those snap elections?
Yeah, so it has created an element of uncertainty, and we do know that markets dislike uncertainty. And that sort of, potential political upheaval that might come as a result of a change in government is what's really weighing on the markets, particularly to do with the uncertainty surrounding potential spending plans, debt levels. So there is quite a lot that the market's sort of, worried about as we head into that first round of the elections on the 30th of June. And that's really been reflected in European markets, but specifically in the CAC that has underperformed. We've also seen gains in the Euro Limited as a result of these upcoming elections.
Fiona Cincotta from City Index, many thanks for your thoughts. And that's Market Insight. Don't forget you can watch more videos on Reuters.com.